Hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's Ask the Expert. First of all, let me tell you guys, tonight's host or expert, I've been having a ball speaking with her. It's Libryia Jones, and she's all about everything that you all have been asking for. I just told her that in the Facebook group, everyone's been talking about work from home jobs, traveling, living this, just the life they've always wanted. And she's coming here with all the answers. Before we even dive into that, I just want to introduce myself. I know a lot of you are joining us for the first time. So if you are a newbie, type newbie, or just say hello, new dream builder, just let me know who is here for the first time. But my name is Tamara Lalonde. I'm the Libryia Academy manager. So I am the one that's always taking all of your feedback, trying to improve the academy, get you the information you need. So anytime that you have any questions, feel free to email us at customersupport@libryia.academy.com, or you'll see me in the Facebook group along with Nadine, Aikisha, Kimon, and of course our fearless leader, Tiffany. So first, let me just remind you what tonight's topic is. It's called Quit Commuting. Learn to do the work you love anywhere you want. And this is once again with our expert, Libryia Jones. But first, let me make sure you guys can see Libryia. Libryia, say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes. Okay. So everyone can hear you. They can hear me. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in and introduce you guys to Libryia and tell you a little bit more about her. She is the founder of Wanderous Life, Wandering Moms, and the Quit Commuting Academy. Libryia Jones is dedicated to helping people live a life they don't have to vacation from. Hello? Who wants that? She has been landing remote work for over 10 years and enjoys traveling the world with her teenage daughter, who she was telling me all about. She's 15 years old. So how awesome is that she's been traveling with her mom? But in 2016, Libryia took a group of people along with her daughter to live around the world for an entire year. She also runs 1 to 3 month long experiences in amazing locations such as Nairobi, Kenya, and Chiang Mai, Thailand. Hello. And landings. Libryia enjoys doing DIY decor projects and cheering on her favorite soccer player, which is her daughter, from the sidelines. And her social media handle, guys, if you want to follow her, is Wonder Woman Inc. So that's WANDER Woman INC. So Libryia, thank you. Thank you for joining us. How did you even begin this journey? Come on.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I've begun so many journeys. Tonight is working remotely. It's crazy. So when I got out of grad school, when I left college, I moved to Atlanta to work full time at Deloitte and Touche, which is a Big Four accounting firm. So I was making some pretty good money, right, for fresh out of college, fresh out of grad school. But I don't know if I'm, part Jamaican or what, but I always have a side hustle. I always have a side hustle. And so back in 2008, I wanted to make some extra money. I had just moved to Atlanta, was thinking about buying a house, and was like, I'm gonna need to make some extra dollars. But my daughter was 3 at the time, and I didn't want to have to leave the house to go work somewhere. Historically, it's like if I needed an extra job, I'm gonna go work at Publix or do some telemarketing or something like that. But I needed to not have to leave the house to do it because I didn't want to have to spend my extra money on daycare, right? Because then it's like it's net zero. And so I was able to land a remote job doing customer service for Toys R Us. So sitting at home with my little 3-year-old, my little toddler running around doing customer service at home. And it's just every year, ever since that, like I landed some kind of remote gig, and I've gotten remote work every way there is to get it. So I've had remote jobs for companies. I've been a freelancer. I started a digital business that I could take with me, and I convinced my employer to let me work remotely. So over the past 10 years, I've been landing remote work all kinds of different ways, and pretty much every way that you can imagine doing it. Yep.
Wow. I love the fact that in that spill, you kind of included that you convinced one of your employers to allow you to work from home. And a lot of people don't know they can do that. So we have to jump into that. But thank you for kind of just sharing that. It just sounds like every time you get a new idea and know that you can help someone else, you get it going. So yes. Much praise to you for that. So let's kind of just jump into how members can quit commuting. So obviously, before you even start your remote work, you have to find it. So
Right.
what does the beginning process even look like? Where do you begin?
So you know what? Even before you find it, you've got to just believe that it's there, right?
Hmm.
So funny. The number one thing that I hear from people is remote jobs are only for developers or tech people. This is literally the number one thing that keeps people from even trying to find remote jobs. And I always challenge people and tell them that, I can bust that myth. I can prove to you that there are actually more jobs for remote jobs for non-tech people than there are for tech people. And the example I like to give people is think about it this way. Even if, let's just say, for argument's sake, that only tech companies are hiring remote employees, right? Just only the Apples of the world, the Ubers of the world, the Googles of the world, they're the only ones hiring remote employees, right? Let's just say that's the case. Even if that's the case, guess what those developers and tech people are not doing? They are not doing their finances. They are not doing their HR. They are not doing their recruiting. They're not doing contract management. They're not doing their own admin work. They're not doing their own sales. So even if tech companies are the only companies hiring remote work, which they aren't, they need non-tech people to work for them, right? So I'm always trying to push people to get past this whole idea that developers are the only ones that can get remote jobs. I know people, my best friend is an attorney. She's a lawyer. She works from home with her 3 kids. So she can be home with her 3 kids. I was telling you earlier, I know a physician who came and stayed with us for a whole month in Cape Town. She's a freaking doctor. Like she doctors online. I didn't even know you could do that. But they need people to manage their projects. Like there's so many, they need people to manage projects. They need people to manage administrative things, operations, sales. There are so many remote jobs out there that have nothing to do with your ability to code or to be a software engineer. So I think before I even tell people where to search, I just want you to like tweak your mind a little bit to believe that it's actually out there for you.
Hmm.
And the next thing I usually tell people is it's about, where you're going to search for remote jobs. A lot of times people are just doing random Google searches and people are just doing random Google searches or going to, Career Builder and stuff like that. There are remote job websites specifically for finding remote jobs, right? And so if you go into these places that have, if you're going to a space that has, all these things, you're going to get fatigued, right? So I usually try to steer people to focus places where, there's a website called skipthedrive.com. It's one of my favorite websites, skipthedrive.com. That's S as in Sam, KIP as in Paul, THEDRIVE. Skip the drive, don't commute, basically. And that website is totally just for people to get, they only post remote jobs. They're 50% or 100% remote jobs. But my suggestion is always to go where the remote jobs are, because you get overwhelmed and you get tired and you're just like, there's just too much out there. And I typically break the places where people can find remote jobs into 3 categories. So you've got membership sites, and some of those you have to pay for. Some of them are free, and some of them you have to pay for. So there's one called remote.co. It's a membership site, but it's like LinkedIn and it's free. In fact, you can actually take your whole LinkedIn profile, download it, and upload it to remote.co. So it's basically LinkedIn for the remote world. So that's a membership site. Flex Jobs is another one that I know people have heard of, but it's a paid site. Not that that's a bad thing, right? I think it probably costs $29.99 for 3 months or something. And then there's job boards. So like your Career Builders, your Indeeds, places like that. Those are good places to go because they're going to have a wide array of remote jobs available, right? Wide array of job opportunities available. And then the other place I tell people to go is to actual company websites, because you'd be surprised that a lot of companies don't post to job boards because it costs money for them to do that. I don't know if you guys know that. When companies post on Indeed or on Career Builder or on Monster, they pay to do that. And so a lot of companies, they're not going to post on those sites because they don't want to have to pay to do it, right? Finding specific companies to go to. There's a couple of companies that are known for hiring remote employees, like a lot of healthcare companies. United Healthcare is really big on remote employees. Wells Fargo has a lot of remote employees. Amazon, Buffer is a big one. So there's a lot of companies out there. Kaplan. So Kaplan is the online education program, online education company, and they hire a lot of remote employees. So I actually have a list that I can share with you guys. It's a free list of my favorite places to find remote work.
Yeah, so you guys don't worry. She has a that she's going to offer to you guys. The link is going to be in a Facebook group and in an academy where she's going to share. But I know a lot of you are asking what the three kind of searches were, and it's one, a membership site, two was job boards, and three were actual company websites.
Yep. And the bonus one I tell people that you don't realize is like Twitter and Facebook. People actually post jobs on Twitter and Facebook. So there's a lot of Facebook groups where people post jobs. Like there's Facebook groups specifically for that. And then on Twitter, like if you do a search on Twitter for remote job and whatever your title is, you would be surprised. You actually would find some remote job postings on there because a lot of companies are like just using Twitter to find remote jobs.
Yeah, because you're on social
people.
No, I was saying I love that because a lot of times people spend time on social media anyway. So how about you flip the script instead of just, using it to look at all of people's, their perfect lives, and you can spend time and actually look for a job with hashtags or just doing a simple search. That's so true.
That wasn't a place that I had thought to search, but one day I think I was, scrolling through some articles and someone mentioned that they found a job on Twitter. So I went on Twitter and I searched for remote project manager position, or remote project manager job. And I got like 12 results and I was like, let me find out. I had no idea. Well, there you go.
So let me ask you this. There is a lot of information on the websites. You kind of talked about that overwhelm and, helping people kind of focus by giving them, that's why you have your list, because you're giving them something that is, that you can vouch for. But how do you properly, say you're going out of that, how do you kind of wade through all of the stuff that's basically nonsense?
So how do we wade through the MLMs, the fill out surveys and get paid for it and all that?
All of that.
So one is using those websites, right? Using reputable websites that are not only aggregating remote jobs, but they categorize them. So you can go directly to where you're interested in. So for instance, Skip the Drive, their website is organized by discipline. So if you are a project manager, you click on the project manager button and boom, all of the project manager jobs are there. Same thing with Flex Jobs. The other thing that I tell people is it's sometimes also how you search. So normal, regular people, we do searches, we type into Google and do searches in a way that it'll get us results. But when we talk to the internet, the way the internet actually talks, we get even better results, right? We get more focused results. And so I teach people in my course, I teach people how to do what's called a Boolean search. So whereas you might type something like remote project manager, right? I'm looking for remote project manager jobs. That's what I'm looking for. In that string, in that search, what you're going to get back is anything that says remote, anything that says project, anything that says manager, and anything that says HR, right? And so not all of your search results will fit what you're actually searching for. And so you get exhausted, you get tired. And it's like, ultimately, everybody does this. You click on the first three. I estimate the first three. And if they don't mean anything to you, then you give up, right? You're like, oh, this is crap. This is stuff that doesn't mean anything to me. These are jobs I would never apply for. I'm tired. I'm going to bed, or I'm going to go watch This Is Us and drink wine and lay down. Right. And so I teach people how to turn that remote project manager job search into something that the internet can read and understand your logic. So there's ways that you can type this. So let me see if I can describe it. Usually I show people how to do this on the computer, but so I would put project manager in quotations, the word project manager in quotations. The reason why I do that is because project manager is two words. And I only want results that say both of those things. I only want results that say project manager together. I don't want anything that just says project, and I don't want anything that just says manager. So if I put project manager in quotes, I am only going to get things back that have both of those words in it.
Ooh, look at that tip. I love that.
Yeah. And so then the other thing I do is I put and in all caps after that. And in all caps. And then after the and, I put remote. Project manager and all caps, remote. And I'll type this out in the Facebook group after this is done so you can see what I'm talking about. Because what that does is if you put and in all caps, what you are telling your search engine is don't give me nothing that don't have what's on both sides of this and, right? If it does not have a word, both words on both sides of these ands, I don't want to see it. So if it says project manager, but it doesn't say remote, don't send it to me. Please don't waste my time because I don't want to click on that. Right. And so really, I teach people how to focus their search, the way they search, to get the search engine to give them the best results. Right. Because I don't want people to search from job search. I mean, I don't want people to suffer from job search fatigue. Right. Because I've done that before. There was a point where, so I had a quota where I had to apply for 10 jobs a day. Does not sound like a lot, but when I say apply for, that means you had to find 10 jobs to apply for and then actually do the applications, right? And so it's really, I know how easy it is to get tired and fatigued clicking through stuff that just doesn't mean anything to you, stuff that's straight BS to you, right? So I try to help people focus that by, one, telling them where to go, and two, telling them how to actually talk to the search engine the way the search engine understands.
Okay. Do you think there's a clear difference between using words like remote and then virtual, like virtual assistant or virtual anything?
Yes, keywords are hugely important. So that's the other thing I do. So when I said you say project manager in quotes and then remote, the other thing I tack onto that is or in all caps virtual. Because some jobs will say remote, some jobs will say virtual. There's more than one way to say remote, right? And so I show people, and this is the string that I will type out. I will type out for you guys job title in quotations, all caps, and remote, all caps or virtual. Because everything that you're getting back, what you're trying to tell them to focus your results is exactly what it is you're looking for. So the more keywords you can use to narrow down your search, the better the results that you'll get and the more efficient that you can be in your search, right? In your application process. And so now you're only spending your time on jobs that would mean something to you, jobs that you would actually want, right?
Yes, and then you're skipping out on that whole, feeling exhausted or feeling like you're not going to find a job that's, perfect for you. But I kind of want to flip the script a little bit because we're talking about, us looking for the perfect job, the perfect role. How about us? How do we make ourselves more, I guess the more talented, or how do we make ourselves stand out? Because everyone's looking for a remote job. So what does my resume look the same as it would when I'm applying for a corporate job, or should it look different? What's your input on that?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I call it being the glittery needle in the haystack, right?
Mm-hmm.
For every job posting, recruiters get 250 resumes on average. That's on average. So some of them getting 400, right? So on average, they get 250 resumes for every job posting, and they're only calling 4 to 6 people for an interview. So from this stack, they're trying to find, these 4 to 5 people that they can call and have a conversation with. And so the question becomes, how can you be the glittery needle in the haystack? The one they're like, oh, that one. One of the things that you'll see is when you apply for jobs, it always takes you to some kind of form, right? Because most companies have what's called an applicant tracking system, an ATS, right? And so it pulls in your resume, it pulls in your information, and behind the scenes, recruiters are able to assign or assess how good of a match you are based on your resume and your answers, right? So all it's looking for is keywords. It's just looking for keywords. And so one of the things I tell people, in order to be the glittering needle in the haystack, what you got to do is stop slinging stale resumes. And and in my classes, I always ask, tell me you're guilty. You know what? Actually, in this Facebook group, I want you to put #guilty if you have done this. You go and create your resume, right? You get it just right. You get the fonts pretty. You get everything on one page. Like you're like, yes, I increased the margin so I can get everything on one page or 2 pages. You have a friend proofread that thing, and it's great. You finally got the right resume. And so you start applying for jobs, and you use that resume to apply for every job. But throw #guilty in the comments if you've done that. I have done that. I was doing that for a long time, right? You get your one perfect resume, you finally got it together, and so now you're using that resume to apply for jobs. I call that slinging stale resumes. Because here's the thing, when those recruiters are looking in that ATS, right, in an applicant tracking system, and they start searching for who's going to be a good match, they're searching for keywords that they put in their job posting. They're not out here like, I wonder what Tamara put in her resume. they're not. They're not.
By the way, there's so many guilty people. They're so guilty.
We've all done it. So they're not looking for what did Libryia possibly put in her resume. They already told you who they're looking for, y'all. They told you who they're looking for. It's in the job posting. And so one of the things that I tell people, in order to be a glittery needle in the haystack, you have got to look at the job posting, look at your resume, and make sure that the keywords that they put in their job posting are in your resume. So the example I love to give is, I'm a project manager, right? So there's like 15 things I can put on my resume as what I do as a project manager. Maybe I pick 4 of those things, right? So maybe I pick 3. Maybe I say I manage project budgets. I manage a team of architects or whatever, team of developers, and I manage project plans. But in the job posting, what they say is they're looking for someone who can set client expectations, who can manage cross-functional teams, and I don't know, drive on time and on budget, right? Those are all things project managers do. The key words in that is client expectations, right? Cross-functional teams, and on time on budget. I do those things, but they're not in my resume. But that's what they asked for in the job posting. So I'm going to go open my perfect resume. So there's nothing wrong with having a resume template. You absolutely need to have a resume template. But you create that resume template, and then every job that you apply for, you go and tweak it just a little bit. So in this instance, I would go and tweak my resume to not just say that I manage project budgets, but that I manage project budgets on time, right? On time and on budget. I manage projects to be on time and on budget. I won't just say that I manage a team of developers. I'd say I manage a cross-functional team. I would say that I work to set client expectations at the beginning of a project to ensure project success, because that's what they ask for. And I do those things. So no more, if you did hashtag guilty, no more sling and stale resumes. And I'm going to give you a tip on how you can easily update your resume. There's a really cool free tool that I love, and I'm going to tell you about it. But I want to make sure Tamara doesn't have any more questions.
Yes.
Or Samira.
Tamara, it's okay. Yeah, we don't have any questions right now. All of them are just guilty, guilty, guilty. So they are ready for your resume tip.
All right. So what I just said was, you are not allowed, if you are listening to my voice, you are no longer allowed to sling stale resumes. Okay. We're going to make that pledge today. I state your name, will not sling stale resumes anymore. You cannot be the glittering needle in the haystack slinging stale resumes. You just can't. So I'm going to make it easy for you. So there's a website called jobscan.co. Jobscan.co. And I'll make sure I type this in the jobscan.co. So it's a website you can sign up for free, right? And they'll let you do 5 scans a month. And I usually love to show people how to do this. I walk people through this exercise in my course. But what you can do is you take your top 5 jobs, right? The top 5 remote jobs that you found, and you copy the job posting and you paste it into this thing. And then you copy your resume and you paste it in there and you press scan, and that's it. And so what it's going to do is give you a score. It's going to give you a percentage match, right? And so if you see anything under, I'd say 60%, then it's not likely that a recruiter is going to look at your resume, because you don't have enough keywords to make it worth her time to look at it, right? But JobScan is going to give you something even better. It's going to tell you exactly what keywords appear in the job posting that do not appear in your resume. So it's going to tell you what your gap is, right? And one of the things that I love is some of the keywords that they post in job postings, they post it more than once, which means that it's really important to them, right? So I actually did it. One of the examples that I do is my old resume and my current job. Now, if I had used my old resume for my current job, they wouldn't have called me. They wouldn't have called me at all. Because I think I'm like a 30% match or something like that. And there's a couple of keywords that they posted in their job posting 5 times. Like there's one word they use, I think it's data management. They posted that keyword 5 times in their job posting. Now, I have worked in data management, and it's nowhere on my resume. Nowhere on my resume.
Come on, right? Now. You got right on there.
Exactly. Right. So now JobScan just told me that they mentioned this 5 times and you mentioned it 0 times. Mm-hmm. So it's called jobscan.co, and how I urge you to use that is when you find a job that you really, really, really care about and you really want to get this position, I really encourage you to go ahead and paste the job posting and paste your resume in there, and let JobScan kind of guide you to where you need to tweak your resume. Of course, I'm not asking you to tell things that aren't true, right? If it's not true, don't put it on your resume. But if it is true, then you're doing yourself a disservice by not letting them know that they have this need they have this requirement and that you can meet it, right? And I also encourage people not to try to get every single keyword that's on there, right? It doesn't have to be, every single thing, but the ones that are important, right? Make sure you put those on there. So hopefully that is helpful to you. And again, we pledge, we are not slinging stale resumes anymore.
No, I love that. That sounds like an amazing tool because I think a lot of the times that's what we're struggling with. We don't know,
Yep.
if our resume is actually matching what they're looking for. And like you said in that example, they said data management like 5 times and it's not on there. So I just kind of want to remind you guys, she said that you can use that for free 5 times or 5 resumes a month.
But yeah, you can do 5 scans a month. And
5 scans a month.
yeah, you can do this where you can rescan your resume, right? So if you take the feedback from the tool and update your resume, put it back in there and then do a rescan and it'll rescore you, right? And tell you, what you're missing. And from there, you can make a decision. I usually tell people, you don't have to get 100% match, but you want to be somewhere between 60 and 80%.
Okay, perfect. We do have a question coming in. Tilda wants to know, what about your resume compared to your LinkedIn profile? If you're tweaking job applications, how can you ensure the resume and profile align?
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So one of the things that I would do, your LinkedIn profile, the great thing is that just like your resume, it doesn't have to be static. You can always update it. You can continue to update it. And one of the things that we talk about in my course is pimping your online profile, because your LinkedIn and your online profile in general can say things about you that your resume does not, right? It can be it can be a megaphone to speak more about who you are, what your story is than your resume does. And a lot of recruiters are using that. And so one of the things that I suggest people do is find your top 3 jobs, right? Find your top 3 jobs, pull out the keywords from there and start to put those things into your LinkedIn profile. And one of the things that I think that people don't do enough is utilize their headline and utilize that summary, right? So people have something, honestly, I'm just gonna say it, guys, because I did it and people do it. People have something boring and stale as their headline, right? Project manager. That's stale, that's boring.
Yawn, yawn.
Oh, okay, you're a project manager, duh. So I had changed mine when I was looking for it, when I got in the job market, I changed mine to, it was a sentence. It said, known for managing $5 million implementations to success, improving everything I touch and being fun to work with, or something like that, or making work fun. That's what it said, and making work fun, right? So they got a little bit of my personality. And then in the summary section, the first thing I said was, I'm a project manager by habit and by trade. I have project plans in my personal life too, right? And then I went into, the accomplishments that I've had and the things that I've done. And I made sure I embedded a lot of keywords in my summary as well, because I wanted them to see a little bit of my personality, right? Because here's the thing, people hire people they want to work with, not just that are qualified. They hire people that they want to hang out with, that they want to work with on a regular basis and interact with. And so infuse some of your personality into your LinkedIn profile, right? Obviously don't make it inappropriate, but definitely, it doesn't have to be stale and boring and overly formal either. So to answer the question, sorry, it was a long answer. Yes, use that same tool to start to pull out some of the things that you see recurring in the jobs that you want, and start to embed those keywords. Because just like with those applicant tracking systems, when recruiters are searching for potential prospects on LinkedIn, they're searching the same way they're searching in ATS. They're searching for those keywords that they posted.
I just want to shout out one of our attendees tonight, kind of sharing some of her insight as a recruiter. She mentioned that, what you can do is put some of those key, like if you didn't want it on your resume, you can kind of have it disguised by putting it in white font so that they can't see it, but it'll still come up in their search.
That is a trick that some people use, yes. Hey, recruiter.
I love that. All right, so let's kind of just talk about, all right, so you have your resume together, you have your job search together, you're ready to get the ball rolling. I think a lot of times some people can mistake the interview process and kind of take it a little less seriously because they're not in person. But that same etiquette, you still have to show up with the same energy, the same mindset. Kind of walk me through what the interview process, if any, would look like when you're interviewing for a remote position.
Yeah, so I feel like you said, you got to bring the same energy. I honestly argue that you have to bring a little bit more energy. Like it's like, have you ever gone to see a play, right? And the people on stage look beautiful, right? And then they come off stage and you're like, dang, she got on a lot of makeup, right? She has to put on even more makeup because you're so far away, right? So same thing, like you got to put on quote unquote more makeup because you're not in person, right? They're not feeling your energy in the room. And so you have to bring that energy even more. And I'm not saying hop on the video chat or the interview being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader or anything, but you definitely want to be on. And I mean, I'd suggest people prepare for an interview, just on a remote interview, just like they do any other interview, right? So I recently hired a project manager myself. And one of the things that I noticed, the people that stood out versus the people that didn't, is one, I prefer people that did their homework, right? Have you researched the company? Do you know what the company does? Do you know what their challenges are? Do you know what their goals are, what their visions are, right? The other thing is, who is interviewing you? Have you looked that person up on LinkedIn, right? Do you know anything about this person? Do you have any common ground you guys can talk about and have a connection that may not be specific to the position and to work? Because like I said, people want to hire people they enjoy working with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also think that one of the things that people miss is coming into a job interview armed with questions. A lot of times my goal when I'm interviewing, and I tend to think I'm a very good interviewer, or interviewee, I should say, I interview well. My goal usually is to ask them more questions than they ask me, right? So come there understanding that, and here's a tip I got for you guys. And I don't care what you're interviewing for. This is the tip I got for you guys. You are not asking for a handout. You are not there to ask someone to please give you a job. You are a salesperson. You are there to sell your unique set of skills, abilities, and the future benefit that you're going to bring to the company. So walk into it with the mindset that you have something to give them, right? And they also need to sell you on whether or not this is where you want to work. So it's a two-way street. So come in there and ask the questions that you really want to know. Ask them what are the biggest challenges in this role? What's going to make you sweat every day, right? Ask them why they work there. Why did they choose to work there? What do they like about working there? So I one of the things I think people miss is coming into the interview, also interviewing, right? Because you need to know that you want to work there and ask them questions. Ask them questions about, what are the problems that they'd love for you to solve when you get there? Like, just be ready to ask some questions, be prepared, understand what their role entails, and what the company's background is, and the background of the interviewer.
Absolutely. I think, and it's so funny because a member was asking, what questions should they ask, and you just dive right into it. I think it is important that you do ask because, like you said, even though you're not physically in the environment, I think one of the top questions you should ask is like, what are your expectations of me? Because you don't have a place that you're walking into every day. You don't have any, routine. So, what's their form of communication? Most usually email. Do they have a project management tool? What have you seen out there that's like, I guess, very consistent when it comes to how to get the work done when you're working remotely?
I'm going to go back to your previous question before I move on to that. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I love that you pointed that out, right? And I apologize for missing that. So I think that one of the questions that I typically ask if I'm interviewing for a remote position is, how do you ensure that all of your employees feel like part of the team? Right? And how do I manage my career when I'm, am I going to get mentorship, right? Am I going to get career development, even though we're not face-to-face on a regular basis? So how do we get to meld and feel like we're all part of a team? And how do we manage our remote workplace? And how do I get support, right? How do I get supported? So did you ask me about tools to manage working remotely? Oh, girl, there's millions. millions. So it depends on what we're talking about. So project management tools, there's, you got Asana, you've got Trello, you've got Microsoft Project is now online. So depending on, it really just depends on what type of projects you're managing, right? So there's good reasons to use Trello, there's good reasons to use Asana, there's good reasons to use Microsoft Project. But there's so many tools out there right now because so many companies are moving towards having a remote workforce And even if they're not remote, they're disparate, right? So you've got companies that have a global presence and they've got employees all over the world. So there are so many tools that make collaboration so easy. I mean, you and I right now, where are you?
I am in South Carolina.
I'm in Atlanta, right? And we're sitting here having a conversation on Google Hangouts with a bunch of people that are all over the US and possibly around the world. And so, you know, you've got conference tools that are all over the place. I mean, all kinds of conference tools, Google Hangouts, Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, all of those. And then Slack is one of my favorite ways to communicate as well. And a lot of major companies like to use Slack. So, I mean, I think that the tools is the easiest thing. And I think a lot of times companies are afraid to go remote just because they don't realize how many tools are out there available to them to make it super easy, super easy for them to communicate with their workforce.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's tons out there. And I think what people, I guess my point is, it's a lot of people get overwhelmed sometimes when they just think of the process of working remotely. And sometimes they think that they're gonna have to spend money on a computer or multiple computers on a and all these things. But honestly, what do you feel is needed to even get the process going? Is it just a cell phone? Is it a cell phone and a laptop? What do you need?
Yeah. It depends. So most companies, if you're working for a company that hires a remote workforce, usually they send you a computer, right? So I worked for American Express as a customer service representative. They sent me a whole desktop. They sent me a monitor, a phone, a headset. They sent me a whole kit to work for them. And crazy enough, I still have that computer. I was supposed to send it back. So I can't use it though. So yeah, most companies will furnish you with the tools that you need. And if they don't, a lot of times, depending on like if you're freelancing, right, then you are using your own tools, your own computer. But if you are freelancing and you're buying computers and monitors for that purpose, that is also a tax write-off. So yeah, I think that as long as you've got a way to start searching for remote work, just depending on what your lane is, companies are going to provide you with the tools that you need. Like the computer that I use on a regular basis at home, my company gave to me, right? So they handed me that my first day. And that actually brings me into one of the things I wanted to mention. Remote work is not the only way to get remote. Getting a remote job is not the only way to work remotely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, tell us more though. We want to know more about that.
Yeah, so you don't have to just get a job with a company to work remotely. So yeah, I want you to go out there and I want you to search. I want you to go to these websites. I want you to find remote work, but also you can freelance. A lot of folks don't realize the skills that you have and people are willing to pay for those. Like the things that you do on your job every single day that you do right now, somebody is willing to pay you for that, right? So you got, especially with the proliferation of entrepreneurs and small businesses, there's so many people out here that have businesses that can't do everything. They cannot do everything, right? So for instance, I pay people just to do research for me. So I have paid people to, I remember I paid this woman to pull together a list of co-working spaces in major cities around the world. Like anybody can do that. I pay people to proofread things for me. I pay people to do copywriting for me. You know, I sometimes I'll sit, like on Wednesday, I like to call it Writing Wednesday. I'll just sit for 30 minutes and I'll just start writing, stream of consciousness writing. And then I send that over to someone and she turns it into a blog post for me, right? So people are willing to pay you for the skills that you have. There's a lot of small businesses that don't want to manage their accounting or their books, right? They don't want to manage their bookkeeping on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. They'd be willing to pay you to do that. You do that for a job every day, right? So, you know, you can actually start freelancing. I don't think people get that they've got these skills and to them, to you, they don't seem like skills because you do them every day, right? You work in Excel every day. Let's say you work in Excel spreadsheets every day at work. To you, that doesn't seem like a skill, but you would be amazed at how many people don't know, don't understand, and don't even want to understand Excel. And so there are websites that you can go and post that, hey, I know how to do Excel. I'm pretty good at this. And people will pay you to do that. There's one website, one of my favorites, it's called Upwork. That's UPWORK, Upwork.com. I got 3 or 4 clients off of there. And I did all kinds of stuff. So I'll do things like I'll just set up a project plan for somebody or build a project schedule for someone. You'd be surprised at how many people don't know how to just schedule out the work that they have to do.
Yeah.
people are willing to pay you for that. And then if you can freelance for a while, right, and start to grow your business and grow your freelance portfolio, then at some point you can start to hire people, right, to do what you do, and you just get the work. So now you have a digital business. So that's another way to be remote. And then the other is convincing your employer to let you work remotely, which is the situation I'm in right now. I decided to get back into the workforce. And go back to work. And my first conversation with my boss before he hired me was, how do you feel about me working remotely? That was one of the first questions I asked him. Because for me, it's just important that I am able to work on my terms, right? So this is my home office with this blue background. I'm in the process of decorating it. I just painted it. I work every day unless I, need to go to the client site or feel the need to be in my team's face. I'm at home every day because I convinced my employer to let me work remotely. And I help a few other people do that so that they can travel with me for the year when we traveled.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I helped about 6 or 7 people convince their employer to let them work remotely. You'd be surprised at people, you think it's a no, so you don't even try, and then you ask, and it's so long as you're prepared. So I teach people how to get prepared to do that, right?
Oh yeah, this is like a whole nother lesson.
It is a whole nother lesson.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who are happy with their employer. They love the people, possibly they don't want to leave, but they commute or they have a small child and they want to work from home. So the fact that you can keep your job, Libryia got the juice, y'all. So if you guys would be interested in a full lesson on that, let us know.
You know what? I need to actually. So it's part of. I'm taking note. Okay, I'm gonna take a note and find out who would be interested in that.
Yes.
Okay.
So there was a question that came in. I do want to address it before we move on. Some people associate remote jobs and think that they're going to get paid less than what they're getting paid now in their normal jobs. So let's go ahead. Let's address that, Libryia.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. That is another one of the myths that I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I felt that way too. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been landing remote work since 2008, and back in 2015, I was working as a project manager for a company not far from my house. But I wanted to travel more, and I wanted to spend time working on my business. And so I needed to be home, right? Because I can be really efficient. I can be really, really efficient. And I get my work done really quickly. But you know how it is when you're in an office, like you always have to look busy, even if you're done with your work.
Familiar.
I hate that. That's one of the things that I hate about being in person at work, because if I'm done, I want to go work on something for me, right? If I'm done, if I've gotten everything out of the way, I don't want to just sit here looking busy. We're grown. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I keeping up this charade? Anyway, so I was like, I want to go work remotely so that I can spread my time between work and building my business, investing in myself. And one of my friends was like, you should look into this company that I work at. They hire remote project managers. And in my head, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to get paid what I get paid now as a project manager. At the time, I had just broke 6 figures as a project manager. I think, I had just gotten promoted. So I had just broken 6 figures as a project manager. I was like, ain't nobody paying me 6 figures to sit at home. So here's the thing. I tell people all the time, the answer to the unasked question is no. You out here not applying for jobs because you've decided they're not paying people more to work remotely or paying people the same to work remotely. Nobody told you that.
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed that. And so I didn't even try, right? The answer to the unasked question is no. And if somebody else told you, and if nobody else told you no, you told yourself no, to be honest with you. And so I was like, you know what, let me just find out. I said, so what's the salary range for project manager? You know what, they end up paying me more than I was making at the company that I was going to every single day. My benefits were better. My benefits were about the same, but they paid me $10,000 or $15,000 more than I was already making.
Well, look at that.
Doing the same work. and I got to work from my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting in my living room making more money than I was going into an office. And here's the way I feel about it. And I've seen I've seen remote work where the benefits are even better. So when I was working at American Express, this was my side hustle, y'all, but I was working full time. I worked for a Big 4 accounting firm, a major consulting firm, and my benefits at American Express at my side hustle were better than they were at my job. So I had actually switched my benefits to American Express. But here's the other thing. I'm also, it's a myth. It's just hands down, it's just a myth that remote jobs don't pay as well. It's not true. But B, I also look at things from, total compensation standpoint, right? What all am I getting for this position? And so I also consider, am I willing to take a $10,000 pay cut or X $1,000 pay cut in order to spend more time with my family? Am I willing to take a X dollar pay cut so that I can travel more and live my life, right? So the question is, how much are you willing to sacrifice in order to get the benefit of being able to do great work from anywhere and live the lifestyle that you want to live? Because here's the thing, money, you can replenish money. What you cannot replenish is your time, right? And so all of the time that you are spending stuck in your car, driving to work, right? Stuck in the office, all day, that's time that you're not spending with your family. That's time that you're not spending living the life that you dream of living, right? Traveling more and doing all those things. And so I urge people also to consider the fact that, even if it is a slight difference, right? You got to just figure out what your tolerance is, even if it is a slight difference in pay and benefits, are you getting more because you get to live more, right?
Yes, and then also think of your health. Sometimes you're dealing with stress at work.
Yeah.
Sometimes your work can be, physically overwhelming, and just the peace of mind of being able to work from home, not having to handle all that might be worth that pay cut. So, but I'm glad to hear it is a myth. That's the best part.
Yeah, it is. It is a myth for the most part, right? And again, A, it's a myth, and B, just figure out what your threshold is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Willing to give up for the benefit of being able to live your life more, but get it out of your head that it's that's the thing. Half of the time, like, you don't even know yet. You just use that as an excuse not to do it, right? Why don't you find out first? Find out if they're going to pay you less, and then if you do find out, is it within the range of something that you're willing to accept so that you can do this other thing that you've been wanting to do? But find out first, right?
Well, then one thing I do want to address, because I know that there's some concerns out there. It's new to some people, just this whole remote process. So
Mm-hmm.
let's put some things up front. What would you say are some of the pitfalls of working remotely, and how can you avoid those?
Yeah. So I'd love to be candid and transparent, right? Everything has a plus side and a minus side. And I think some of the challenges for working remotely, one of them is, like, it gets lonely. I'm a very social person. I love my coworkers. I love chit chatting and talking with my coworkers. So it does get lonely at times. Like, you get stir crazy. I'm just sitting in his office, just me and my dog, my actual dog. So he's not talking to me. And so that can be challenging, right? It can be challenging to it's the solitude of working remotely and working by yourself. And so the way that I combat that is, sometimes I go into the office just so I can be able to interact with my coworkers. Or sometimes I go to co-working spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, these are spaces where other people who work remotely are congregating, and you're just in an atmosphere where people are, focused on getting things done. And every once in a while you can, exchange ideas and talk, and they have events at co-working spaces and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And sometimes I will, put a call out to my other friends who work remotely and say, hey, I'm going to host a co-working day at my house, or I'm going to host a co-working day at this coffee shop. Let's all meet up and go work together. So I think that challenge can be easily met. Another challenge is being disciplined. So now you are in charge of you.
Mm-hmm.
There are some constructs that come along with being in the office that help you remain on task, right? Knowing that someone's going to walk by your computer and see what you're doing keeps you on task. But when you're at home, it's all on you. And I will tell you, I made a huge mistake, like, the first time when I first started working remotely. Like, I thought I could work from bed. That ain't cute. It sounds cute. It's not cute. So I'm one of those people, like, I have to get up, have a morning routine. I have to actually get up, take my daughter to school, get dressed, and then I come to my home office. I eat breakfast and I come to my home office, and I don't leave my home office unless I'm taking a break or work's over, right? So that's one of the challenges. One of the challenges is being disciplined and creating routines for yourself in the absence of that accountability. I think another one of the challenges is getting other people to respect the fact that you are working, right? Just because I'm home does not mean I am not working. Like, My nephew ended up missing the bus 3 times in the same week and kept hitting me up, asking me if I could come take him to school. Bruh, I'm at work. Like, I know that you know I'm at home, but I am at work. As a matter of fact, he was in my house last week because my sister went out of town, and I'm downstairs in my office, and he texted me and asked, could I take him to Chick-fil-A? No.
That is too adorable.
Right. So it's like I need people to know that I'm at work. So before, when my daughter would get home from school, I would have a sign that I would put up so that she wouldn't just run into my office and start talking to me. I would have a sign that I would put up that says meeting in progress or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she would know when she comes into the house, enter quietly, mommy is working, right? And so making sure that people in your life understand the boundaries of the fact that just because I'm here does not mean I'm here, okay? So and you'll have friends that want to hit you up and go to the mall and go kick it. It's like, no, I'm working. So that's also a challenge. And then I think the other challenge is just feeling like you're part of the team and making sure that your career is being propelled forward, especially if you're in an environment where you've convinced your employer to let you work remotely and everybody else is still in the office, right? So you have to work a little bit harder to make sure that you're still top of mind and that you're still interacting with your supervisor, with your boss, and moving your career forward, right?
Awesome. Everybody's just cracking up at this whole chicken sandwich moment. That was hilarious.
He was so serious about it. First of all, he was playing hooky from school because he texted his mama and was like, I feel good. Can I stay home? And so I get a message from his mom saying he's not going to school. And next thing I know, he asked me to take him to Chick-fil-A.
Well, listen, this session has been amazing, and there are still tons of questions that needs to be answered, but I'm not sure if there was anything else that you felt you wanted to share before we spent maybe like the last 5 minutes trying to answer those.
Yeah. One thing I want to share before I go is I always encourage people that I think that we sit around daydreaming about the life that we want to live, right? We daydream about the fact that, I wish I could work from home. I wish I could do the things that other people are doing. I see people doing it. The difference between you and those people is just action, right? The only difference between you and the people that are doing the things that you want to be doing is that they took action. And so I want people to get past these things that we have in our head that, remote jobs are out there are only for tech people. Remote jobs don't pay well. Remote jobs don't have good benefits, or I don't know where the remote jobs are. Get past that and just start taking action. Even if you just do, one search a day, just look at 2 or 3 jobs a day and make a goal to apply for, just even if you just did 1 job a week, right? I'm going to apply for 1 remote job every week. You just start building that habit. Right. And you start realizing that there's more available to you than you ever realized. Right. And that even that realization gets you so much closer to where you want to be. So I just encourage everybody to just, take the first step and just start doing, right. Get out of your own way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a mindset. You just have to picture the door wide open. Because when you work from home, I feel like the opportunities are like endless. You can do whatever you want, whatever it is that you want to jump into, it is out there for you. So yeah. I love that you went over these myths as far as pay, as far as the different positions that are out there. I do want to ask a question from one of our ladies. It says, what does longevity look like in a remote job? And I think it's a good question because you kind of have to be realistic. So I'm gonna let you take it over. So what?
I don't think it's any different than a non-remote job, right? So whenever you are approaching a new position at a job, the question of longevity is tied to the sustainability of that company, right? So an American Express versus a startup, right? Are you going to an established company versus a startup company? And so that's where the question of longevity comes in. I don't think the longevity question applies specifically to remote companies or remote jobs. It applies to the company. Are they going to be around for a while is really the question. But I think that more and more you're going to start to see companies that are looking for remote workforce, because it costs them less. I think for every remote employee, they save about employers save about $12,000 a year on average, right? So a lot of companies are moving to remote work for that reason. But a bigger reason, one of the reasons why I hire remote project managers is because it opens up my talent pool. So if I only hire people that are located in the city that I am in, then I am limited to that talent pool. And the talent, the person that can move my company forward, the person that can truly do what I need them to do, may be located in Dallas. They may be located in Sacramento. They may be located in India. I don't know. Right. And so a lot of companies are expanding that horizon and moving to remote work for the purpose of making sure they get the best person for the job, not just the best person within a 25-mile radius of their company. Right. So I think the longevity question really applies to the company. So anytime you're working for a startup, it's a little bit of a gamble, right? Because they're not proven, it's not a proven model. But there are definitely some benefits and some exciting things when you're working for a startup, right? You tend to get a lot more exposure, a lot more responsibility, and then versus an established company. So I don't think that you have to think about remote jobs that way.
Absolutely. So I am excited to share something with you all. I know this conversation, they have so many questions. They're so excited because now they a real thing. They can do this working from home. This is possible.
Mhm.
So Libryia, we've been working with her, just trying to, find something perfect for you all so that you can take the next step. And she's going to give us more of her time through a separate course. So do you want to tell them a little bit more about that and the special offer for Dream Builders?
Yeah, so I actually pulled out part of my course and packaged it just for you guys. And it's a modular course on where to find remote work, how to search for remote work. So I talk to you in detail about some of the websites that I love to go to find remote work, but then I teach you how to search. So remember earlier I mentioned talking to a search engine the way the search engine can understand so they can get you better results. So I teach you how to do that. The other thing I do is teach you how to build your resume template. So we talked about that template resume, right? I have a framework that I've designed called Sassy Resume, and that's an acronym, obviously. So there's some key things that I want you to make sure that you're doing with your resume, with your templated resume. And Sassy stands for making sure it tells a story, make sure it tells your accomplishments, your skills, it's short, and it has your brand, right? And so I walk through all 5 of those principles and teach you how to make sure that your resume includes all of those things. And then I teach you about how not to sling stale resumes, how to be the glittering needle in the haystack. And I even go through the process of reviewing some resumes, some sample resumes in there. And I also go through the process of doing the job scan activity and telling people exactly how to update their resume as well. The other thing in there is I teach you how to pimp your online profile. Because again, recruiters aren't just looking at your resume anymore. They're looking at your total online profile. And by that, I don't mean just LinkedIn. They are Googling people also. And so I tell you how to be more attractive to recruiters by pimping your online profile. And then I also talk about how to maximize your network to maximize your results. The other thing that you get with the course is you get to be part of our Facebook group, part of our group for accountability, in which I do weekly coaching sessions. So I get in there and I answer questions. I encourage people. I also do a survey so that I can understand what you're looking for. And I'm always looking at remote jobs. People are always sending me different jobs. And so if I see something that matches you, I will post that in the group, right? So I tend to post jobs that people may not have seen in the group. I actually just helped a friend, one of the people in our group, get a remote job 2 months ago, working with a travel company. So yeah, that's what you get. And the course is, you want me to give the whole thing, all of it?
Oh, go ahead, give the spiel. And also,
all right. And so you'll get all of those things. You'll get weekly coaching sessions. We do monthly live sessions with the remotes so that you can meet people who are doing this in different ways. I know people who are range from attorneys who are working remote to people who help folks write admissions essays to get into colleges to work remote. So I know people that are in a wide array of positions and professions remotely. And so I want to introduce you to those people so that you can pick their brain, kind of get an understanding of how they got where they are. One of the young ladies that I worked with, she just got 2 remote jobs. Actually, she landed a remote job and she convinced her employer to let her work remotely 5 days a week because of some of the things that I was able to teach her. So you'll get to meet her and understand what she did to get where she is. And so the course is, and you also get ongoing access to anything I add to the course as well. And so that is for Dream Catchers, $97. Yeah.
And that's a steal for
That is,
everything.
so the full course is $549. So the course that I offer to the public is $599. But I packaged something just for the dream catchers at a steal for $97. Special rate for you guys, because I love the dream catchers. I'm dream catchers and dream builders. I've been part of this group for, oh my gosh, like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, and you've been here, and this is not her first Ask the Expert lesson. So inside of the include her previous lesson where she talks about her wondrous life. It's so beautiful, and she talks about this too. But I just love that you're now, you're building and have your own community, and it's always great to have people around you that are focused on the same things and have that mindset, because like you said earlier, it's kind of hard to sometimes explain to other people that you're working from home. So to have people with you that can, exchange ideas, and you have a leader that can guide you a bit. I mean, that alone is worth the 97. So thank you so much. Libryia, can you tell us about the freebie too? You have a freebie offer.
Yeah, I do have a freebie. So I talked a little bit about my favorite places to find remote jobs, and I broke it down for 3 different types of places. And so I have a guidebook that basically breaks those 3 down and gives you 3 to 4 websites in each of those categories that are my favorite places to go. Because the truth is, listen, I have a list of over 100 places where you can find remote work. Over 100 places where you can find remote work. What I don't want to do is overwhelm you and scare you and give you too much so that you don't even start. Because if you've noticed, one of the themes that I've continued to say is people just need to start. And so I don't want to give you so much that you are overwhelmed, and that overwhelm causes paralysis and you don't do anything. And so the guide will give you details about my 3 favorite types of places to find remote jobs. And in each of those, I give you specific websites to go to.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I just want to make sure, Libryia, is there an expiration date on the offer? How long do they have to?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you asked that. So you guys have, the offer is good for 48 hours. The offer is good for 48 hours, and I will start the clock on that for you guys. Let's see, what is it? 9:04. I'm gonna give you an extra hour. We're gonna start the clock on that at 10 p.m.
So guys, you have 48 hours to enroll into the Quit Commuting course. Link is in the Academy. It's here inside of the YouTube chat here, and it's also inside of the Facebook group. I always like to kind of give you guys like something to do next, just to keep the conversation going. So after, especially for those who are brand new to Ask the Expert, when you go inside the Facebook group, there is going to be a post at the top of the Facebook group. You'll see Libryia's name. It'll be all of the links included from this lesson. But what I want you to do is just, of course, thank Libryia for her time today. But I want to hear your aha moment during this session. And then I also want to hear what are you currently doing at work? And then also, what's your dream job? If you can use one skill that would be effortless to you, that you can do every day, share what that skill is. And then also, if you download the freebie, let us know which tool you're going to use to, to start your search. We want to know. And Libryia will also be in a group, and she can answer any questions that you have about the course or just about your process. Like she said, she's been a part of our community for such a long time, and she deeply cares about you all and want you to live the life that you guys want here for you, right, Libryia?
Right. No, really. So so I wrote this personal mission statement a long time ago. And the last line in it is that I want to live my life as if it was meant to be enjoyed by myself and those around me. And then what that translates into is what I want is to share with other people what I know. Because what I want more than anything for everybody is to have choices. I want you to have a choice and the freedom to live the life that you want to live, right? I want you to enjoy your life at the end of the day. So I am happy to share, ask me questions. I will hang out in the group for another hour. I'll hang out because I'm going to be playing around on Facebook anyway. We both know this. So I'll hang out and answer questions. And even after today, I'm in the group. I'm in both Dream Catchers and Dream Builders. So even after today, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up and tag me.
See, I love the Academy. I love everything that Tiffany, does. Obviously, Libryia is here because she has connections with Tiffany, and we're just here for you to give you all the resources you need, and you just hear how sincere and genuine Libryia is. So once again, thank you so much for your time. All of you head over to the Facebook group, and I'm very excited to see your comments and see what you took away from tonight's lesson. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye-bye.